Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Newcastle Town Board meeting of September 30th, 2025. The board has been in executive session and I'd like to ask a motion to open the work session.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to start with a discussion, really an update of the 50 North Greeley property. We received an application for special permit North Greeley Net Zero Carbon. That is the name of that special permit, NG0. We received that in June and July of 2025. Staff reviewed it. It's a lot of paper, so it took a while, but they were very thorough. The application was deemed complete for substantive review, and we are now going to talk about the next steps. So Sabrina, our Director of Planning, Sabrina Charney Hall, is here and will update us.
So what was submitted to the board and posted online is the staff review of the applicant's application for the special permit. We submitted them a comment memo. The memo was directed towards your board. The applicant received a copy. They are required to respond to comments. The next step for your board is to consider setting a public hearing based on the legislation. Your next step is to set the public hearing. Typically of all special permits, it's an applicant comment response cycle whereby the decision-making board will receive communication from staff which directs you to the status of the application, what information is missing. The ultimate goal is to get a complete application for the public to react to during a public hearing. So with this application, the submission that was made dictated comments from staff which now mandate responses. Those responses, in accordance with in conversations with the applicant, they say they can respond to those comments within 2 weeks. So that leaves you setting a public hearing, I think October 28th, if you so choose to do so.
And that
Yes.
public hearing would be contingent upon staff receiving that comment response memo in time for staff to review in 2 weeks before that, so if you can schedule a public hearing tonight if the board so chooses, but just understand it's contingent upon the applicant providing information.
Yeah.
And providing information in enough time that staff can confirm that they
Correct.
responded accordingly.
Well, I would be inclined to do that because it will save a lot of time. If we wait until we receive it, we won't be able to set a public hearing until the 28th, and that would take us to November.
Correct.
So just in the interests of time and efficiency, I would recommend that we set a public hearing for the 28th, subject to getting those responses from Sabrina's memo.
Should I so move it?
Yes, you may.
I so move.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we will know in 2 weeks whether we can stick to that.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. All right, are there any further questions on this discussion item? No?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, we're going to have another discussion on the issue of lantern flies. This is an ongoing concern, and the lantern flies are multiplying. We've had reports that there are many of them at our train station. And so we have our environmental coordinator, Dennis Corelli, here to help us and tell us exactly what can be done with these insects.
Yeah, see, sure, okay. That's easy. Thank you, board. So, I mean, I will start off by saying, and this is probably a bit of a block copy paste for those who remember, because I know I was here September of last year to discuss this. Understand if Newcastle, established in 1791, we're still like an agricultural economy, I think this would be a different discussion. I think having the species, in areas where, there is concern for agriculture, specifically grapes, but even if you grew other types of items, I think, you would look for maybe a more proactive, aggressive approach. But, for what we have here in Newcastle, I mean, just to start, obviously, there is a policy on, I don't know if I've ever found it to be written, but it's certainly an application that we don't like to use pesticides on town lands. So, once you eliminate that as a possibility, no crop dusting or anything like that, you're kind of down to the physical controls. And I know last year Westchester County had some of their staff going around with the backpack vacuums, like looking to just literally vacuum them off of trees. I know people this year have set traps. They're almost like these type of netting traps that you apply to trees, and it's almost like kind of picture like when a lobster goes into a trap. It's able to get through that smaller opening, but then doesn't figure out how to get out. Seem to run away from, sometimes you see people use sticky tape around trees. That can have unintended consequences, and there's no need to see other organisms stuck there that are going to die that could be beneficial, especially if they're going to, which I'll get to later, actually go after and or eat a stuck lanternfly. So that would be, in season, sort of those physical approaches. And then in the winter season, there is reports of people looking for these white encrusted egg masses that you could see on trees, fence posts, abandoned cars, outdoor furniture, all types of things. And people have been instructed to sort of scrape those into little Ziploc bags that contain either hand sanitizer. I would prefer isopropyl alcohol just to sort of kill the eggs. But even if we were as the town to sort of initiate such a program, and obviously you would only be able to do that on town lands, I don't see what the impact or effect would be on the organism's population. I mean, it would be negligible. And even if you were able to sort of start a program where, okay, you now have everybody in Newcastle, private landowners as well, we're going to make this unified front to try to eradicate, which is a strong word, this species from Newcastle. Well, now you have your municipal neighbors that, well, we're not doing that, so ultimately, the effect is that, it's like basic population biology. Anything with like a high fecundity rate that, you try to eliminate from a spot, something fills the niche. Well, in this case, this is filling its own niche. But, I will say that, and this is just anecdotal observation, obviously I haven't been studying this organism, but I felt personally that from my, because I do spend a lot of time outside obviously with the position, I just felt like I've seen less lanternflies this year than I did last year. But that's only one man's opinion. So I've been asking others, other town staff who are outside and obviously know what I do and deal with this, other professionals who bring in applications, to our office, whether it be engineers, other scientists, landscape architects, and the majority of them kind of shared my opinion. They said, no, we certainly still see them, but I remember them being worse last year. So part of that is, if you recall, I know I mentioned last year, I didn't see any updated webinars this year that were done by Cornell Cooperative and New York State DEC Integrated Pest Management. But last year at that webinar, they mentioned that this particular species, recall it first appeared in 2014 around the Philadelphia area, that it doesn't appear to, once it's discovered, take up a permanent residence. It just kind of, I don't want to call it a migration pattern, but it just kind of moves along. So having that in the back of my mind is, well, maybe, okay, that could be one reason why maybe I'm seeing less. But there was other evidence that has come forth that basically has shown a number of species, I guess, have discovered lanternfly as part of their diet. So things like birds, other insects, frogs, fish, dogs and cats were even listed. So, and that goes to some of my observations, because sometimes you'll find just pieces of lanternfly, like just like a wing or something to that effect. And that's not because, because the adults have only happened recently, so I'm not convinced that's because, well, that's a lanternfly that died and has since decayed. I think something has worked it, in order to make it easier to swallow. So, at this stage, I just, and I spoke about this with Rob, I said, it's difficult to come up with sort of a good, cost benefit into, seeing an effect on the population. I mean, superficially, sure, you could throw money at it and, we'll put traps and, we'll have people do all these things and you could show up for the camera, a lanternfly trap with a couple, organisms in there. But I think at the end of the day, it's, it's a nuisance species, it doesn't bite, it doesn't sting, it doesn't spread, it's not a vector. And this is just a period now that where the adults come out. Even the tree species that it feeds on, which lists on numerous trees, the only trees that I've noticed that have perished are all these adult tree of heavens, which are, obviously non-native and invasive to us, but I believe endemic to where the spotted lanternfly comes from. So, again, if we were a tree nursery or a tree farm economy, I wouldn't just take that at face value and not do anything proactive. But as far as the trees that I've observed that, are standing as part of your, forest population, some maples I see with sooty mold, but they're certainly not dying. It's just a discoloration of the bark. The only tree that I see en masse that appears to be losing it is one that I probably wouldn't want here to begin with. So I know that that's not an answer to
That's
solve.
interesting, Dennis,
Yes.
because what I'm hearing from people is that they see lanternflies and they say, oh, and my trees are dying, or some other form of vegetation on their property is dying. Do you think that that's just by coincidence, it's just a correlation with seeing the flies and
I think that's part of it, and I think also too, obviously I take calls all the time with respect to our code and our application process, and it's like, I have a tree that's dead. Okay, could you send me a picture? And I'm looking at a picture of a tree that it's hard to call this dead. I'm not saying it doesn't necessarily need to be removed, but I think in the absence of definition of a common, sort of understanding of a term, I think that's part of it. I also think, as I mentioned before, there is certainly a discoloration that occurs on the bark because of these species. And the other thing that I've noticed is that there were a couple of vines when they were still not as adults, but they're, I guess, instar stage, when they're just, the non-winged insect with all the spots on them, both Asiatic bittersweet and porcelain berry. And again, last year, I was just told from the webinar, grapevine is, but I couldn't believe how many of these instars I was seeing on those vines as well. So I think, next year I could be here and saying, Dennis, what happened to all of our maples, but at the same time, the biology of the species is you're not expecting to see as many because there's this, transient, time to move on. So I don't have a silver bullet for this, and I posed this to other friends of mine and colleagues who were biologists. I said, yeah, Newcastle, is considering, and they're like, well, what is it that you're supposed to do, all on your own? Not just me as an individual, but us as a town, that you would expect to see an effect or a response. So tomorrow is October. I don't expect these things to be flying around much longer after, the next 2 to 3 weeks.
what does happen to them in the winter? Do they go dormant and stay on location, or do they fly to
I think the adults, say goodbye to this world, and then they just leave the eggs behind to, get
Are you asking if they go to Boca?
They snowbird.
That's what I wanna know. This is a lot more than I ever thought I would learn.
Well, it's Dennis, our resident science teacher. We always learn so much from his visits.
And I'm glad I didn't break out in hives
Well, you know what's
hearing
funny,
about
Dennis,
the insects.
I've noticed that baseball fields, because my kid plays a lot of baseball, and in the train station parking lot, they seem to swarm like flagpoles and light poles but I've seen less of them on the, at least personally, in the trees around my neighborhood. I see them like swarming metal and
So
sides
that's
of buildings.
interesting.
But again, anecdotal, so I don't know if
Right,
there's-
no, but I'd be curious, like, you know, then looking at those poles afterwards, if you see these egg masses on them, you know, because they.
Not yet, but maybe.
Okay, yeah, cause they seem like that's the one interesting thing that they, you know, they certainly have feeding habitats that, you know, gravitate towards trees and, you know, other types of biota, but when it comes to like time to lay the eggs, it's like suddenly the high quality neighborhood is not as important, you know, it's just we're gonna drop them wherever we want to.
So Dennis, essentially you're saying let nature take its course, hopefully they're transient, they'll leave the area
Yes,
and or we'll see what happens next year.
yes, and I think there are other, you know, other organisms that are, you know, dining on them, which is certainly, you know, I think, you know, more helpful, because obviously to try to, you know, institute something, you know, in town where you're gonna be looking, you know, to use chemical means, you know, that is gonna have some resistance understandably, so I think that, you know, the fact that this is happening is definitely a benefit.
Are other towns using pesticides?
Not that I'm aware of, cause, you know, again, I think, you know, and as I said to Rob, if you really can restrict, or if you're restricted in its use to only, you know, your municipal properties, I don't see it lasting that long, and I feel this way, I know residents have different opinions, and I know the
I mean, I'm not suggesting we do, I'm just thinking if other towns are doing it all around us and they're all coming here.
No, I don't see that, and I think the conservation board has discussed to even carry this to other organisms, I mean, people who live near wetlands, like right off Hardscrabble, Turner Swamp Sanctuary, you know, you wanna hire a Mosquito Joe for your property, I mean, personally, I'm like, that's just a waste, I mean, you're not doing anything to the mosquito population, you know, but it makes people feel better, and that's fine, that's their funds and their, you know, cost benefit decision. I wouldn't recommend that for the town, cause I just don't see what the effect would be at the end of the day.
Okay. All right. Any questions on this?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Dennis.
You're welcome, thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank you. All right. Up next, we are going to talk about Route 133 and a resurfacing project that we hope will happen soon. This is work session, normally we don't have public comment, but we have invited the Somerstown Road Action Network to come here and talk to us about the work they've been doing to advocate for safety measures for Route 133, including the resurfacing of that road by the state. And so I'd like to invite, I don't know who wants to come and speak, I'm thinking it's June Boyle who'd like to come up. So you're very welcome and,
I might call one of my colleagues.
okay, that's fine.
Hi.
Hi, June.
Hi, Holly.
Hi.
I'm wearing a different hat this evening than my conservation hat. So I am the co-leader of the Somerstown Road Action Is this on? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, yeah.
I'm the co-leader of the Somerstown Road Action Network, and my colleagues Bridget Curran and Jim Pinto are here with me. We're all Newcastle residents. And thank you all for having us on the agenda to discuss this. We are a nonpartisan community organization representing 200 plus families in Newcastle and Ossining. Our stretch of road covers both communities. And what started as 3 Newcastle residents concerned about safety has grown into a 200 plus family coalition across both communities. We hosted meetings in our town that were surprising to us, very well attended, and we've had Victoria and other legislative officials join us at these meetings, and we've been building on the momentum ever since. And so our objectives are to secure this New York State DOT funding for Route 133 for the resurfacing project, and that is for their 2026 budget, which is being decided upon right now. Our secondary goal, because repaving is necessary, the road is in horrible shape. And that actually does cause some safety issues as well as there's damage to vehicles, damage to property. But we're also really advocating for some basic safety improvements during this repaving project that will not trigger a large environmental study, sorry Dennis, or a big traffic study that will delay us 6 or 7 years down the road from getting any work done. So we're looking for some very basic safety measures like better drainage in shoulders to prevent damage to vehicles and hazardous conditions for drivers and pedestrians. We want some basic safety signage around blind curves and key intersections, guardrails at some dangerous curves. Bridget, my next door neighbor, has had 3 horrible car accidents where cars have ended up upside down on her front lawn, and miraculously people have walked away. And so a guardrail there would potentially prevent such things from happening because we are deeply concerned about somebody dying in an accident of that nature. And also we want some speed control measures to lower the dangerous speeding by trucks and other vehicles. And I will say, many of our members who live in Ossining have said how wonderful it is to see the Newcastle police out and monitoring speeding. They're very upset with their Ossining Police Department because they are not doing as good a job in their estimation. So in terms of the community impact, we have 67 to 90 accidents annually that we have tracked. We've pulled data from both towns, police department, very helpful in helping us track some of that in both towns. We have frequent full road closures affecting all travel, power goes down. Every time Bridget's had an accident, a telephone pole comes down, and it affects the entire community. And we have 6,000 plus vehicles daily, including school buses and emergency vehicles traveling that road. So this is a multi-community effort. It's not just Newcastle. It's not a Newcastle resident issue, but an Ossining town and village, and every driver and business that travels that road is affected. So, Jim, I started talking about what you were going to talk about, so I'm just going to keep going in the interest of time. We have a coordinated advocacy effort. We've met with our New York State legislators, Senator Harcum and Assemblyman Burdick and Assemblywoman Levenberg, and they have already sent a joint letter to, and I have a copy if you guys would like to see it, so I can pass that around. This is the letter that they sent to the New York State DOT, and they met with us. I did provide them with a copy of a potential letter, and they modified it slightly. So that is their version that they sent in. It's going to this New York State Department Commissioner, the DOT Commissioner, and various other officials. County level, we have Mr. Jenkins and the county legislatures preparing their letter. At the municipal level, we're obviously here to have you sign a letter, or if you need to modify that letter in any way. But we would hope that as a board, we can respectfully request your signatures. Ossining, the town board has agreed, and the Village of Ossining board is also agreeing to do the same. And at the organizational level, we have a big letter writing campaign. We're asking local businesses, emergency services, school busing. Letter campaign is launching this week. All of our residents, well, we're hoping all of our residents also write a similar letter. We have started that campaign this week as well. And we have 1,500 petition signatures at change.org petition, and that is also going. So we have a big package of info going to this, showing a very, very widespread and coherent and cohesive approach to pushing for this budget and funding, because they have determined how much money they think it's gonna cost, but the funding has not been allocated, and that is going to be part of the budget process. Okay, Jim, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Thank you, everybody. As June said, we've done a lot of legwork on this, and about a year ago, one of my first reach out that I did to the DOT Region 8, which is what we're in, was about the conditions of the road. And you've all been, I'm sure, through the road, especially the curves. It's been a Band-Aid approach. They've patched so many potholes that the center line disappeared. So during my conversation with the regional engineer, I'm an engineer myself, I had mentioned, by the way, there's no center line. The next day, they painted the center line over all the repairs. So they know it's a problem. Had several conversations with them later, and they said if they could do it over last winter, they considered it an emergency. They were gonna do about 1,700 feet of road. Well, we're up to 3 miles of road now that stretches from 100 all the way into Ossining. And that being said, one of the things we're trying to make sure they don't do, or that they do now, is they go out, they've been designing the engineering to repair the road all this summer, cause I've been in contact with them constantly. Now we've gotta make sure, and the push is with your help and the other letters, is really to get the awareness of this project up. There are multiple projects throughout the state, so that they go out to bid. It is in the 2026 budget, or at least it initially was, for about $9 million, depending on what aspect of it you look at. And we've gotta make sure that now that they actually put this project out to bid, which is why your letters are important. So to get them to put it out to bid, that would make it an award and an execution for next spring, and that would be wonderful, and that's what we're trying to do. So they're on board, they're aware of the conditions of the road from all their surveys. We do know it's up there in the list of dangerous roads, and we're hoping that with your support and everyone else's, the awareness that DOT makes it one of those primary projects. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I have a couple of other supporting materials here if you'd like to take a look. You can see, if you wanna take a look at the petition or anything more about our group, you can. And I think one of the things, so our request is to sign the letter. Assemblyman Burdick did recommend, and this is up to you if you'd like to do it, but consider a resolution entering our efforts into the public record for added weight with the DOT. And then finally, and this is the priority for us is this letter, obviously, but we also wanna have you, in conversations with your police chief and others, is there anything at the town level? We realize it is a state road and you do not have any effect on decision-making and power on the budget, but is there anything in terms of, as you prepare your budget for 2026, is there any additional resources, what local resources might actually complement some of the state action, particularly around safety? So I understand there's only one speed radar trailer that gets moved around the town, and is it possible to consider adding another one into the town's arsenal so that we can actually manage speeding? And it obviously wouldn't be on our road all the time, but it would actually allow for better monitoring of speeding around that.
Let me ask a question about that. Are we actually allowed to put speeding monitors on state roads?
We had them on our town roads without DOT approval.
We've had them on our road. It has actually been on our road, but we were told that it has to rotate, so it stays at our road for a while, maybe 6 weeks.
It's been a local monitor?
It's
on the
a
state road?
it's a trailer, it moves, it say again?
It's the new,
Trailer
it was
mounted.
the Newcastle one?
It is a Newcastle one, this is what your police force has told us.
Make sure
Okay, I just
DOT is okay with that on their road. I mean, it's one thing to put those on town roads, we have control of that, but to put it on a non-town road, we just have to
Yeah,
make
they've been on
permission for that,
120.
They've done
Yeah,
it.
as long as they're
Yeah,
okay with it.
Yeah, they seem to be okay,
Yeah.
cause we call them and
It's been on
they
120 'cause you come.
it shows up very quickly afterward, they're very responsive, but it can only stay for a short period of time, then it goes to another road in the community that needs monitoring as well. So
Okay.
that is just something for all of you to consider. There may be other radar devices, we understand from Ossining, they don't have enough of the traditional speeding monitors, which is why they're not showing up as much to track speeding. But we've also talked about a pace car program, which actually members of it's community driven, and Bridget had spoken to the police chief about it, and he got excited about the idea of if we have pace car community driven efforts where people just pace their cars and everybody behind them has to go a little slower, and it actually has shown a reduction in speeding.
Have you done that so far? Or
Bridget's been testing it out herself, and I've been doing
I
it
do
too.
that sometimes, like,
Yeah.
I just do it on my
Yeah.
own.
But there's actually there's an actual process for how you actually go about it, and it would get sanctioned by the community as well. So that is something to consider. So these I just wanted to toss some of those topics out for consideration.
Okay, thank you for those suggestions.
Come on up. They need to hear you online.
I'm still in the process of
gathering information about it when I have a few moments while I'm working. Can you hear me? You can't really tell.
Yeah, a
Tilted,
little more.
tilted.
Okay. So these programs have been started all over the country. I've found like 5 or 6 of them. I don't know how effective they've been, but they sound like such a great idea. So you sign a pledge saying you're gonna drive the speed limit, you're gonna slow down for kids, dogs, whatever, pedestrians. And you have a little decal on your car that says you're a pace car. And they're handed out by the police department. So the police department, Jim, is his name?
No.
Jim Carroll.
Jim
So he was very excited about it.
We talked to him at Community Day.
Yeah, so again, I'm still kind of investigating it, but I think it is a great idea. Cause then we don't have to wait for traffic studies and, signs, we just do it ourselves.
It also affects GPS and where traffic is
Right.
getting routed to,
Right.
so.
So I was thinking everybody puts their GPS on and all that information goes to your driving app and it just will slow down traffic.
Yeah, that's a great resource.
And throughout the town, not just on our road, so.
I mean, anybody who has a kid is gonna want that on their car to try to get other drivers to slow down. So that's really what it is.
Can I ask you, like, what are the factors right outside your house that cause this rollover effect? What's going on?
I mean, I'm not there when they happen, but I will tell you that when I walk along the road, cause I have been doing that lately with my neon vest, there is one point in the road where you have that white line that is supposed to distinguish the shoulder, and literally the white line crumbles down, there's a 2-foot drop into like a water kind of drainage area. So I don't know if they're hitting that.
So their wheels kind of go over the white
Yeah,
line.
I mean, it literally falls down 2
Got
feet,
it.
it's really awful.
I was actually a witness at one of the first accidents, which involved an ambulance, which drove
Good job.
past the blind curve that before my driveway, hit a rut at that edge of the road, lost control and slammed into a tree in their yard. And fortunately, nobody was badly hurt. So, but that was an ambulance, an Austining ambulance that was damaged and caused damage to their property. So there is a blind curve and just, crumbling of the road.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yes, the road's being undermined, and that's been brought to the attention of the state. I've written to them on behalf of the group, and they've come out and done some remediation repairs, but nothing permanent. Now, one of the things I've noticed, and we're really starting to focus on the road, is the current conditions before they even get to rebuild it and pave it next year, should that be what happens, is when you come up from Route 100, and you go almost a full mile before you only see one speed limit sign, and I realize it's not the town putting the signs up, but the state's not paying attention to the road at all. So in the meantime, to push for more speed limit signs. In fact, the sign says 25 miles an hour because it's through the beginning, which is very curvy. There is no 35 mile an hour speed limit signs in that first mile, which goes past.
Stop sign at
I'm sorry?
the stop sign at the one road by Maryknoll also, that's only a yield sign, so that is another issue.
And there's been a recent accident, another one over to the crossover to Maryknoll there's a yield sign there. Again, it needs to be reconsidered, if you will, and I know it's a planning issue, so Sabrina, I know you get involved in that stuff too. But to get more awareness from those that, let's say, control the current conditions before it's improved, if you will, would be helpful to slow things down and to remind people, hey, there's a speed limit on this. It's not 25 miles an hour as it is at the beginning of 133 when you're coming up on 100. And then you have nothing until almost you get into Austining. So they've ignored it, they've patched over it, they've put lipstick on it, and we all know that. I've been there 11 years and I've seen them patch it every year. So, all these things need to, in the meantime, they could do something. But they've acknowledged that the road is in very poor condition. In fact, they were willing, when I first spoke to them, if last winter wasn't that difficult, to come out and put it on an emergency list, which has separate funding from the funding that they would do for capital projects. So just a little bit of history behind it. We've all been on top of this and gotten great support, so we appreciate yours as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and
Thank you very much.
going through this very thoroughly with us. As you know, and I discussed at that meeting we had over in your neighborhood, that the town of Newcastle is embarking on a speed limit reduction in our residential neighborhoods as Kathy Hochul's law was passed a couple of years ago, allowing the reduction to be from 30 to 25, provided we have engineering studies, so we're doing that throughout the town. I know that reducing the speed limit is not the only thing that's going to increase traffic safety. Obviously, there are a number of things, distracted driving, etc. So I would like to put together a traffic safety task force in addition to raise public awareness. So I'm gathering a list of people who'd be interested in joining that. This would not be for your area alone, obviously it would be for the entire town of Newcastle. So if you're interested in that, let me know, because you have a lot of really good ideas and you've been thinking about this for a very long time. So it's a multi-pronged issue. There are speed limits, there are signs, but there has to be some sort of public awareness campaign as well, because at the end of the day, it's one person behind a car making decisions about how they're driving. So we really have to go at it from different areas. Okay, but as for your letter, I think it's a very good letter. I don't know if anyone has any comments. We have it on our agenda to approve. We haven't had time yet to reformat this into an actual resolution, but what gets approved is a resolution to approve the letter. So in a sense, it is a resolution, it will go on the public record. And
Yes, I would recommend, Madam Supervisor, members of the board, just a motion authorizing that the board craft a letter in support of the Route 133 resurfacing project, obviously subject to review by town attorney.
right, and I see that the signatories are every me, town supervisor, and all the council members. Is that, I'm not sure, that doesn't usually happen, I can sign on behalf of the board, but I'm happy to have everyone sign as well. It's just easier if it's redrafted and put into proper form, and I sign it rather than try to get everyone together to sign, but it would be on behalf of the town of Newcastle.
Town of Austin, Nicholas Felton is doing it.
Okay, they did it that way too, okay.
So we can authorize.
So we will
Motion to
authorize it in our,
Those are so
Subject
moved
to-
and
it's on our consent agenda. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's actually, it states resolution in support of Route 133 resurfacing project. It's really a resolution in support of the letter requesting funding for the resurfacing project, so we can specify that when we call out
The
the
only thing I would
resolution.
add to that is just subject to town attorney review.
Excuse me, can you attach the resolution once it's initiated and adopted to the letter?
Well, it'll be an oral resolution, there'll be minutes reflecting it, and assuming the board passes the resolution, you'll have a signed letter, along the lines that was proposed. Obviously, there may be some edits that
It'll
you'll have.
refer back to the resolution.
It'll refer back to this date, correct, and we'll have, the letter will be in the form and substance, again, with some modifications of what you presented.
Would it be possible to receive a copy of the final version of the letter, just for our
Yeah.
records? Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming, we appreciate all the work you've done and taking the time to come and talk to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, Selena, thanks. Okay, Rob, would you go over the administrative items?
Let's see, we have 3 retroactive payment of claims for checks dated September 12th, September 19th, and September 26th of 2025. We have the adoption of minutes for August of 2025. We have adoption of monthly reports for August 2025. The authorization, these are 2 planning board conditions for 2 Meadow Hill Way. We have the authorization to approve the drainage swale maintenance and inspection declaration and easement for Nakash, and the second amendment to the declaration of drainage and maintenance easement also for Nakash. We have the authorization to approve a replacement letter of credit. This is just a renewal for Balazs and Perry Lane. We have the authorization to use town property for Ready to Pedal. These are bike lessons, and we have used a lot of this group to do the bike lessons in our train station parking lot in the past. They're doing that October 11th and 12th. Jeremy, we have 4 vehicles to declare surplus. From Public Works, we have a 2009 Nissan Altima and a 2013 Ford F-150. From the Police Department, we have a 2015 Ford Interceptor and a 2019 Ford Explorer. Jeremy, since 2014, we have sold $310,448 worth of vehicles.
14, not 2000. When did I?
14 is when I've been, I just keep adding to my spreadsheet, so. Since that date, 310,448, and we'll have 4 more vehicles to add to that once we sell them.
Right.
We have 3 different authorizations to attend conference for police. The chief is gonna attend the chief's conference for a total of $2,917. Officers Mizachi, Riley, and Patterson will attend the Women in Law Enforcement Conference. Total of $2,015 combined for the 3 officers. And our animal control officer, Aaron Doley, he's going to attend the animal control officers annual meeting, cost of $597. We have the authorization to extend the contract DPW 2021-11, the snow and ice removal in the hamlet. This is for our contractor Griffin. We are satisfied with their work. We had an initial contract signed in 2021 for 2 years. This will be the final year that we can extend this contract without going back out to bid or RFP. We have an authorization to enter into a 5-year planned maintenance agreement for the emergency standby generator at the Millwood Water Treatment Plant. Authorization to purchase wire for the emergency standby generator for the Millwood Water Treatment Plant, utilizing the services of Omnia Partners. This is permanent wiring for the manual switch that we are installing on the generator. We have the authorization to approve engineering change orders number 3 for the Metro North Railroad trenchless water main replacement project, total of $24,257. The change order is because they're doing borings. This is the trenchless water main that's going underneath the Metro North tracks and the Sawmill River Parkway. Metro North is requiring enhanced insurance coverage, and they're requiring that we hand excavate this last excavation. It's gotta be done by hand instead of by machine, which adds to the cost. We have the authorization to approve guide rail installation on Marquardt Drive and Whippoorwill Road. There's a cost of $45,283. We did a study some more than 20 years ago, I think at this point, that has recommended some guide rail installation, and these were 2 of the areas that were recognized as more urgent, so we're gonna do that. And we have the authorization to adopt the extension of the moratorium for both the battery energy storage systems and the commercial solar arrays.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Any questions on those? No? Okay, so I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn the work session and open the town board meeting.
So, second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any announcements?
Just a couple, I'll point this out, it was in last week's newsletter, but the Emergency Services Day will be October 5th from 11 to 2 in the train station parking lot. That's where our first responders, the fire department and CVAC will be out there. Unfortunately, due to the construction at the fire department this year, they're not able to use their property, so they've asked to hold it in the train station parking lot. So that will be October 5th. And Christina, I guess if anybody happens to be watching and you have not yet paid your taxes, our office is closed now, but you can still make payment online on the town's website, and you can do that up until 11:59. But I would not.
Today's the
I would
day?
not wait.
Today's the last day, yep.
Your first half school taxes.
First half school
Okay,
tax.
maybe this will help one person.
Yes, if it helps one person, it's worth it. If you do an ACH transfer, there's no charge.
for the ACH transfer. If you'd like to by credit card, there is a credit card fee, but still do it online.
Okay.
Get it in.
Alright. So supervisor's report, I just wanna mention how sad and disappointed we are at the closure of Starbucks. And there are a number of other stores that have closed as well. As far as Starbucks is concerned, of course, you know, that is private property, it's a private landlord. We have no real influence over what happens there, but I have taken it upon myself to call approximately 6 surrounding coffee shops and other small cafes that I know are popular. I'm not comfortable stating their names at this time, but I know that 2 of them have expressed an interest and are going to talk to the landlord. There's not really very much more I can do about that other than let you know if and when I hear that there is a serious interest and someone is pursuing something. But you know, if anyone has any ideas and they want to get in touch with me, I will do everything I can to you know, do my part to get something good there. I don't know if anyone has any ideas now that they wanna throw on the table and share, but you know, we are aware and trying to address the situation as best as we can. I do wanna say that I believe that the current level of foot traffic downtown is really not sustainable for a healthy commercial business development. And we are looking at the zoning in the MFRC district. This is the district going up King Street, and we are looking at density incentives to facilitate developers. I know there's an interest in developing the Lutheran Church property. And I hope that our review of the MFRC will facilitate that and we'll have a project come before us relatively quickly. We're hoping to have that at a town board meeting. I don't wanna give a date exactly, but next month. I'm also going to be asking the staff to review the north and south Greeley corridor to see what's possible there. I don't wanna go into detail now. You know, in the past, we've had a lot of ups and downs with zoning propositions. And the last one, I don't wanna, I don't wanna raise anyone's ire either at home watching or here, but we've had proposals for very dense zoning, and I think that there is a middle ground that can and should be reached. I know that people really react very strongly when we start to talk about zoning and housing. But I think that everybody can see that we have a problem with foot traffic in the downtown area. We have a problem with maintaining vibrancy and sustainability for these storefronts. It's not healthy, and we do have to look at housing in the hamlet. And so I will be directing staff to look at that, and we will get back to everyone with options that we wanna look at. Also, there is the possibility of reviewing our vacant storefront ordinance. I know we have a registry. I would like us to look at that registry and any other code amendments that are legal that we can impose. For instance, we could impose fees on vacant storefronts. I'm not sure about the legality of that. There is a question about it, but I'd like to take a look at it, including code ordinances for maintenance of vacant properties, vacant storefronts, and requirements to keep the windows clean and put art perhaps at the storefronts. I mean, there are a lot of options that we can look at, and we just have to look into the legalities of it. So Lino, I don't know if you have anything to say about it now, but
No, we
can
will
look
take a
into
look. I mean, I know we have a we have a very robust, obviously, nuisance law in our code already with respect to certain properties, but with respect to those issues, we also have a vacant property database as well. So, but we'll look what else we can see on top of those that would further those issues and take a look at it.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's it for me for now. Rob, do you have a report?
Yeah, I have a couple items for the administrator's report. So Town staff has been working over the last month with myself and our controller, acting controller at the moment, Carl Schlegel, working on the 2026 budget. Those meetings with the town board will take place next week on Wednesday evening and on Friday morning. That will be for the 2026 budget. Road paving for 2025 is complete. We finished up about a week or so ago. A little later than usual, but we are complete now. So our DPW staff and highway department staff are getting ready for the winter season. And last I've got another update on the 117 Con Edison work. So just to remind everybody what happened, they started this project on 117, it's gas main work up, I think it started at Whippoorwill. And the original hours of work were supposed to be 9:30 to 4, and unfortunately that conflicted with the school buses coming out of Horace Greeley. So at Christine Ackerman's request, Con Ed took a look at it and worked with state DOT, and they tried to come up with a couple options. So one of them is that they're going to stop their work at 2:30 each day to allow the buses to clear. The proposal that we thought they were going with was at 2:30 they were gonna put plates over the road until 4 o'clock. They were then gonna come back and work until 7 o'clock in the evening. I guess they tried that and they realized that's not working. So what they are now planning to do is work Monday through Friday from 9 to 2:30 and then on Saturday from 9 to 4. They had originally proposed Saturday, they got some pushback from their contractor, but apparently that's been approved, and they need that additional day, since they're cutting their workday short during the week, they need that additional day, or that project, they said, will extend into December, and I don't think
So
anybody
I'm sorry,
wants
when
it.
do they think they're gonna be done?
By the end of October.
And I'm just curious, when did they, if you know, when did they realize there was an issue and did they start timely?
With the school buses?
No, well, just on that road, because knowing full well, despite the fact that, sorry to be agitated, Con Edison couldn't give two hoots about anybody but themselves. Would you have any idea when they knew there was a problem and when they did they have a plan to start earlier?
I don't know,
Because it seems to me
and
so,
they-
it seems to be so irresponsible that they started this project when they did, barring there being some exigent circumstance.
Agreed, we weren't aware of it ahead of time, our staff was not.
I'm not saying we were,
No,
I'm
no.
curious if you know whether.
Bart wasn't, the police weren't, the first we had heard of it was they had we saw them out there, and then, you know, Christine had called us and said, I had, you know, one day she had 4 buses delayed and, you know, was causing problems with them, and then you know, the chief was not aware, they weren't using police at first, they are now using town police to help with the traffic control, but at the beginning of the project they weren't, so I don't know what happened at the start of it, we weren't notified ahead of time. This is a contractor working for Con Ed, so we unfortunately just weren't notified ahead of time.
Is that irregular for them? I mean, do they usually notify you?
Yeah. Especially with something so extensive, that this wasn't,
And so
you know, if they
close
were
to
out
the
there for,
school.
Right,
if they were out there for 3 or 4 days, they may or may not, sometimes they're doing tree work in town, they may or may not if
Yeah,
they're,
this is emergency trees.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is much more extensive than that.
Right.
I think it's very variable depending on the subcontractor, and I think that Con Ed gives its subcontractors a lot of leeway, and so we're really at the mercy of that.
Yes,
And
that's
it is absolutely irresponsible, and you know, maybe our only resort is really to contact Con Ed and let them know. It's not gonna help, because next time they'll have another subcontractor, it's just not gonna help.
Right, we've been in contact with them, like I said, Christine was she called them directly, Lieutenant Rocco for us spoke to them and has been our point of contact here in town, and you know, they're aware that it's a big inconvenience to us.
It's not just inconvenience, I can only speak for myself personally, like my own son very often can't use the bus because the bus won't get the kids to school on time.
Right.
Right.
Because everything is backed up and delayed.
Yeah.
Which adds traffic,
Yeah.
cause then kids are getting in their cars, but I mean, I live along that road, so I'm actually not upset to hear that they're going to reduce the length of the project by using a Saturday, because it's those work and school days that are really stressful.
Yep.
Like getting to work, getting to school, those are important days, so as a resident there on that side of town, I don't mind them using the Saturday.
Yeah, the Saturday is not a typical ask, and when they came to us, we just felt like it was better to get them out of here and, you know, on a Saturday, they can do a full day's work, not worry about the buses, not stop at 2:30.
Actually.
Yeah, when they're putting the plates back and forth, that process takes some time, so
Yeah.
they're not even doing their work from 9 to 2:30 every day, it's somewhat less.
Right.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay. All right, we've reached the public comment period. Anyone is welcome to come to public comment and just state your name and where you live. I don't see anyone in person who would make a public comment unless June, you'd like to come up with something that you missed. But okay, is there anyone online for public comment? No hands are raised, okay.
We're not very medicines community day.
Why?
Well, I just wanted to say what a beautiful day it was.
Oh, it was, you're right. Yeah,
I mean,
That's
I
true.
just felt really, grateful. It was so beautiful. The Rotary Club did a great job.
they did, they did. Yes. Yeah, thank you, Jen, it's been such a while that,
Yeah. A lot of town committees were out there and people enjoying themselves, beautiful weather.
that's right, and the book festival was wonderful as well.
Like wonderful things have happened this month.
Yes, very true. Okay, let's see, so we'll close the public comment period. Rob, you've gone over a lot of the items in the consent agenda with a couple of exceptions that were not administrative items, so they weren't on there. But we have the resolution in support of Route 133. Or rather the letter in support and the authorization to set a public hearing on 50 North Greeley. As far as you can tell, I don't know if you wanna go through the whole thing again, I think we don't
think so, yeah,
you don't have to,
were
but
added here, at the end on the resolutions page. It wasn't on the agenda itself, but on the resolutions page.
okay, alright. Okay, so we can move to our resolutions. Okay, unless there's anything else anyone would like to discuss? No? Okay. Alright, Holly, do you wanna start?
I move to adopt items 1 through 16 as listed on the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $2,007,016.58 listed on the summary AP check register and detailed voucher detail report, both dated September 12th, 2025. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Friday, September 12th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Holly?
I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $674,782.89 listed on the summary AP check register and detailed voucher detail report, both dated September 19th, 2025. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Friday, September 19th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $145,471.94 listed on the summary AP check register and detailed voucher detail report, both dated September 26, 2025. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Friday, September 26, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to authorize the hiring of Jelena Miranda for the position of recreation attendant within the Recreation and Parks Department to serve in different roles at the corresponding rates as indicated below, effective September 15th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move to authorize the hiring of Kate Mazzarelli to serve as summer internship assistant coordinator for Newcastle United for Youth at a rate of $25 per hour for no more than 50 hours effective retroactively from coalition approval on April 30th of this great year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jen, do you wanna
I
do the
move
last
to
two?
adopt an extension of 6-month moratorium prohibiting the review and approval of applications and permits for battery energy storage system in the town of Newcastle.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to adopt an extension of 6-month moratorium prohibiting the review and approval of applications and permits for solar collectors and installations in the town of Newcastle.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're now adjourned. Thank you very much.